All right, welcome back, Nora. We had you on for our Monday motivation, and I wanted to do a
That's fun.
back-to-back episode. We're going to do two of them. This week is Nora Knows Best week, and then next week is another week that I'm going to do back-to-back with another guest. So I'm really excited. Want to see how these go.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. It's really
Absolutely,
fun.
absolutely. So I wanted to have you back because in the Monday Motivation, I thought it was great. In the Monday Motivation, we talked a lot about how you just basically followed your dreams. You quit everything that you had going. You sold off everything and you followed your dreams. And then we went into
Oh, I'm psycho.
and then we went into how you got on Survivor. And not even how you got on Survivor, but that you got on Survivor. And it was
Yeah.
season 39, was it? Island
Yeah.
or something
Good
of the Idols.
Island of the Idols.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good job.
And that you were a top three finisher. You were the last female on the island, and
Right.
you were a top three finisher.
Shoulda won. Shoulda won. Coulda, shoulda. Shouldn't have let the haters take
So
you down
so
at the final
So I
stretch.
guess before we get started with anything, is there anything that you wanted to talk about before I jump into Survivor? Because I think that this is a very interesting topic, and we can get into things after. I'm really curious on how they shoot it. I'm really curious on a lot of the behind the scenes things. I don't know
Yeah.
if you could talk about it,
That's
but
cool.
I'm interested.
We signed forms that we're not going to talk about, like the production, how they do it, their process, because it's a very coveted process, and everyone that's part of it, it's really interesting the integrity that they maintain for this, and how the entire staff from production to, it doesn't matter what their role is, it's like they took a vow and they really all take it
That's awesome.
seriously. So it's pretty cool. So I think something I would share would be that like attracts like. It's not the chicken, it's not the egg. It's like they're both simultaneous. So some people would think, well, did Noura get like all these things that are happening for her right now because of Survivor, or are the things that she's up to what got Survivor? It's like like attracts like. So I will say, I know you had your own experience in Miami. I had my own experience in Miami. I think both of us are both very family-oriented people. I'm from the D.C. area. You're from New York. And I always thought you would end up home, and I always thought I would end up home. And Miami, I feel like, was a really good place to kind of like reconnect with yourself and figure out like who you are, what you want out of life. And sometimes you need to, like, it is very much like grass is greener syndrome, because like we had a really nice life in Miami of like the weather and just interesting people, like a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people that work for themselves. So you get, a lot of fitness, health and wellness. So like I feel like we got to go like into our, a different world where you can see like this is how life could be. And then you get real perspective on like how do you want your life to actually be, like who you are and what's the life that's going to fit you. And so that's where I really got connected to that, and that's when all these things started happening. Because, there are a lot of times in life where you're like, I think I want this, but I'm not sure. I think I want this person, but I'm not sure. I think I want this experience, but I don't think I'm good enough. It's like you have we have a lot of self-limitation and doubts. And I think when you're really true about who you are and what you need for yourself to thrive and be happy, it's like, and you believe you deserve it and you allow it for yourself, then you can have anything you want. And I think I had to connect to that place. And then it was like, oh yeah, Survivor's going to take me. Oh yeah, I'm going to have a bunch of nutrition bars out there, and it's going to be one of the best on the market. This is an already saturated market. Like, why even bother? So I did want to say what these things all have in common is I just wasn't afraid anymore to just be myself. Because in my life, where I've been successful, I'm myself, and I do well. But like, for instance, in dating or in some other areas, like I was afraid to be myself, and so I would kind of downplay myself or kind of mute myself, trying to fit in or trying to do what I think I'm supposed to do. And that happened with Survivor. Why did I not get on there all these other years? I would say what I thought they wanted to hear. I would highlight certain things I thought that they were looking for. But so this time around, when I was like, they were like, you need to do a 3-minute casting video. Mine was 8 minutes of me uninterrupted talking in my bedroom, like, blah, 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 and then this story, blah, 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 and then I'm like, I'm just going to talk about this ex-boyfriend, I'm going to talk about this inappropriate thing right now, and I was myself, and that's what all these things have in common, is like, I'm doing it my way, and anything you want to do in life, there's people there, but if you do it the way Jeremy does it, the way Noura does it, like, there's always a market. You don't need even 1% of what exists in a market. You need, like, a little bit, and you can have an amazing opportunity, experience, life.
So
whatever.
I wanted to say, when you went on Survivor, you, like, the whole process, you had to apply, you went through the whole rigmarole. You get picked, you get shipped to an island, right? Or flown to an island, whatever. And then, like, one of my most important questions was, do they give you, like, sunscreen? Do they?
Great questions. Okay, the only things that you are given is a multivitamin every day, because you are going to become really like, you're going to suffer malnutrition, like, no doubt about it. Because, like, even if you were to eat, like, broccoli every day and that's all you ate, you're going to be missing other things. So if you're only eating coconut and some rice and maybe you're getting some rewards, you're going to be nutritionally deficient in a lot of things. So you're getting a multivitamin, you're getting an electrolyte packet that you put in water that's like it's like, it's like salt and sugar basically. And then you're getting you are able to use, like, a hand sanitizer, but it's because, like, why are we able to use that? Like, if I put my contacts on, I need to be able to put, like, they don't want me to put,
Bacteria,
like,
in your eye.
So that was something cool that they allowed you to have. And, like, it's just, you're not getting toilet paper out there. You're not getting anything, tissues, napkins, like, nothing. So there is some hand sanitizer. I don't remember why. Or wait, let me just think about this. We had bug spray. And sometimes we would use the bug spray like deodorant.
That's funny.
Because, like, that or the antibacterial, I would, like,
That's funny.
So those are the things you're able to get. And there is a sunscreen. And I don't know why, but I'm really anti-chemicals. And so a lot of the season, I didn't put any on. Like, people would be, like, slathering it on. And I was, like, actually, if you see from episode 1, I'm tan as hell, and I'm tanner than most people. Like, I did that. Like, I worked to build a tan, so when I got out there, I wouldn't have to deal with burning and adjusting. Like, what? That's, like, an easy thing to do. Why wouldn't everyone do that? I don't know. But yes, so to answer your question, that's pretty much
okay.
All you get.
All right, yeah. That's interesting. I was always curious. I was like, what do they actually get? And then you legit have, like, you don't have a place to sleep. You have to build your own. You have to do all that. So that was so cool that you guys, had to really overcome that. And how many days was it?
39, if you get that far. I mean, there's one guy, he's gone in 3 days. The first guy voted off. He was only there 3 days. That's it. And no one will remember him, really. I hate to say that. But, like, they didn't get to see his personality. And, well, actually, no, I can't say you're not going to be remembered because, you remember why he left. So you're going to always remember that, but you're not going to know anything else about that character. So, yeah, being there 39, the thing is, if you're voted out early, you go into an abyss. You don't exist anymore. After those first 7 people that are voted off, you're in the jury. So those 10 jury members are watching the rest of the game, but they're only watching from tribal council. They're not it's not like they have, like, a TV watching your challenges and, like, what's going on at camp. Like, it'd be kind of cool if they had, like, a spy cam to see what's going on, but they don't. And that's the thing you don't realize. And so when you're towards the end of the game, they only know what I'm telling them. And I could lie, I could make up stuff, and then someone else can say that's not true, but then you don't know if that person's telling the truth or not. But that was my biggest hindrance, is, like, I'm not used to, like, spelling out what I'm doing. Like we talked about this on the last podcast, like, you need to, when you have a boss that you report to, you have to say, this is how I'm building value, this is what I'm doing, these are my actions, this is my performance, let's measure it. And with that, they're not allowed to talk. Like, they're sitting at all these tribal councils, and they're just sitting there quietly. They can like be expressive. And when you see that, it's actually very distracting. Like if I say something and they're just like, oh, whoa, like, but they're not able to talk, you're like, was that good? Like, was that not good? And like, I'm an extrovert. I'm used to looking at like the audience, like just to measure how I'm doing, and it can be really distracting sometimes.
That's really interesting. And now.
Yeah. It's a cool dynamic.
When you went on there, you are a vegan. You talk about it a lot. That well, not a lot, but like we talk about it a lot. That you're a vegan. And you're pretty strict. And yes, you do go off the beaten path once in a while to have certain things if you're craving it. What did you eat? Like, do you catch fish? Do you like what?
Okay, let me tell you. It is not worth the energy. The people that are like, let's get crabs, let's get fish. You're going to get a fish like that's this big if you're lucky. And then what are you going to do? You're going to share it with people? Like, it's so not worth it. And like, there were some people that would crab. It's a lot of work. You're going to have to corner the crabs. You're going to have to poke them with sticks. And then they swarm flies, which I think is disgusting. And then you're going to cook them. And then how much meat are you going to get? Like, dudes, like, eat the coconuts. It's like, if you want to give a homeless man food, and I've done this before. I'm like, would you like this? And they're like, I can't eat that. Then you're not starving. You're not hungry because we have a plethora of coconuts. We have Thai coconuts with just the water in them. We have the medium coconuts that are kind of like a calamari. And then we have the hard coconuts that are like the thick meat. And then we even have what we call sprouted coconuts that inside they have, we call it cotton candy. And it's like, you've got all that array of coconuts. Like, you can drink them, you can eat them, you can just freaking eat the coconut. So that's what I did. I just ate
all day, every day.
And everyone knows it. Like Noura with the axe. I found out a way. Okay, so when you open a coconut, typically you go on vacation, and they go cut around the top. It's like 15 cuts. Then they do a little hole, and it's like, okay, now you can drink it. Okay, that's a freaking lot of cuts just to drink the water. Then you got to open it breaking it a million times, and then you got to eat the pieces. So I created a technique where I take the hammer and it's like pop, pop, and literally I take the hammer in an angle and I create an opening, and then with the coconut like wedged into the axe, I'd go like this, and I'd pour the liquid into a container and drink it. Then I'd go pop, pop, open it up, and I would, with the axe, wedge out all the pieces. And literally, there were days where I felt like some guys would be like, Noura, we're hungry. Can you open some coconuts? Because like, they didn't know how to do it.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
And it's a bonding. It's also a bond, too, when like you're giving and like you're sharing. And yeah, there was like one day, people really pissed me off. It's the episode where I find out all the details of the next challenge. I tell everyone all the details of the challenge, and I tell them, look, my only stipulation is you have to let me have the most important role. And they're like, well, we don't know what the role is, and we don't, like, how do we know if we don't give it to you that like, we don't have that there even is a ramification? I mean, that was, like, the worst lie in Survivor history, like, Noura trying to lie, and I don't like to lie, I'm not good at lying. And basically, they end up not only taking the information of what I know, not giving me the role I want, they tell me to sit out. And obviously, because they think there's some sort of advantage on the course maybe I know about, and they just don't want me to have it, whatever. So that day, when they decided that, and I'm like, we're about to go, I don't know what, we're about to go somewhere, and one guy feels really bad. Tommy, the guy that won our season, he's looking at me like he could barely look at me in the eyes because he knows they really kind of blindsided me with that. And I mean, it's really a messed up thing if you're trying to work together and then you're just like, we're going to just do this to you. And then I literally gave him some coconut because I knew he was hungry and I knew we were about to go to challenge. And he looked at me like, oh, you're so like being kind to me, even though I was an asshole to you.
I mean, it is interesting when you go or when you watch it. Like, and I full disclosure, I didn't watch every episode, but I did watch every so on. Like the one episode you were on a team and you were doing an obstacle course, which I was like, oh, she's at least going to be good at the obstacle course. You've done like a lot of different challenges. What was your favorite challenge? And then what was your like, man, because there were times that they like didn't allow you to participate, right?
that one challenge where they sat me
Yeah.
out, my own team did. But yeah,
That was
was
the only one.
I
Okay.
sat out.
So are you?
yes.
Are you? I mean, you're still a little bitter about that, right?
It was strategic on their part, but the thing is, I was like, what the F, people? I freaking helped you, and now you're going to punish me because you're trying to be so selfish that you don't want me to get any sort of advantage. Like, so what if I get an advantage? Let me have an advantage out of giving you the details. I don't have to tell you shit. I could have gone to that thing and just watched this fail and just vote someone out from my tribe. I mean, there were a lot of things I could have done. So yeah, when I say I'm bitter, I'm not bitter. I'm
disappointed.
It's like I'm a little bit. The logic doesn't make sense to me, and sometimes I don't understand people, and I just have to, understand. Okay, they're scared. Also, people are playing like this is what we should do. Oh, because Noura could this and this and this, and then we should do this, and it's just like, some of these people watch the show so much that they're living this life of like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
I should this.
Now, going on the show, did you have like a plan and you're like, this is what I'm gonna do, or you just because knowing you probably were like, I'm just gonna be me and see how it rolls, you know?
Yeah, you know it. Okay. This is how I am. I'm a student in life. If I want to learn something, I study it. I watch YouTube videos. I read the books. I listen to the mentor or the expert in the field. Like, if I want to know how to do something, that's what I do. So, besides watching other seasons, just really it was for me to understand the game. So, like, actually, when you sign up and you have to sign your life away and say you're not going to talk about certain things and blah blah, you can't sue them for certain things. They have the rules, and like, there's a page of like, you're allowed to do this, you can't do this. Noura just studied the shit out of that, like highlighted all that. So I was like, all I need to know is the rules and the rules on how the game works. I don't need to know how people did it, how they played. Well, I get it. You could say, well, this works, this doesn't work. Well, what works for one person might not work for me, which we saw with the whole lying. That's not my approach. I tried to follow what the idols told me to do, and it was not helpful. What I should have done was my approach would be, yo, guys, I know the challenge. If I tell it to you, what I need from you is to give me the most pivotal role in that challenge. And they're going to be like, well, like, why would we do that? Well, I will get an advantage, which will allow me to have an extra vote. If I don't get that advantage, I'm going to lose my vote. Now, in the event of a swap and our tribe doesn't have the numbers, or we're even, we're going to lose someone. Someone's going to go home. But if you give me this advantage, we have the advantage no matter what happens. Either we're going to have the numbers where we're up, or if we don't have the numbers and we're even or we're down, I have this extra vote, which is going to level the playing field.
So the advantage really becomes an advantage for the team as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm in my life, full disclosure, Noura. Like, I give transparency, and I'm authentic, and I'm loyal, and I just tell you like it is. But when the idols, which are like, two-time winner Sandra, the only two-time winner now Tony, but the only two-time female winner now, and you got Rob, who's won before and gotten the final three many times. When they're telling you this is what you should do, I was like not buying it at first. I was like, how do you want me to do this? I don't know. And I shouldn't have followed their advice. So I don't know if I answered that, but yeah, you got it. Oh, so when I was going into this, all I wanted to know is the rules and just stick to that. So in my interviews, for instance, they're like, what are you looking forward to doing in this experience? Or like, what are you trying to get to? Or where's your focus? I'm like, family visit, final three. I'm going to get to the final 8-ish when you bring the family, and then I'm going to go to final three. Like, those are my targets. So, like, it's like life. You don't plan. Never put the energy to plan 10 steps ahead, because one step is going to be a little off, and now your calibration is completely off. You spent all that energy, right, to pick all these steps, and now we're misaligned. So I've learned, especially from Survivor, like, you're here right now. Like, what is my next best move? What's my next best step? And that's what I would do. And then to answer your question about my favorite challenge, I don't like challenges where it's like we're going to run here, we're going to do this puzzle, we're going to climb up here. And, like, I hate chaos like that, because I'm a very focused person. And, like, we've done challenges. Like, you've done so many
obstacle course races.
Physical races, obstacle races. For instance, what's the number one thing you do when you pay for your spot? Like, what spot do you pick when you do those races?
What do you?
Like, what tickets
Oh,
do you
I
buy?
I buy the elite. I buy so I can run in the front and challenge myself.
Yes. And the benefit of being with the elite is okay, when you run with the rookies, you run with like the JV, they're freaking all over the place, they're getting in
Absolutely.
your way, they're freaked out, they're scared, they're excited, like they might elbow you, kick you, and then you got the elite and they're like horses in their own freaking lane and they're, so it's like that. Like when you're doing those challenges and like you're on a team and you're all together doing all these things, it's freaking chaos. And I can deliver on chaos, but where I killed it was like the challenges where it's like I'm circling this ball in this freaking thing, which is freaking hard. Like to start and put your ball in the rim of this thing and not have it go out is like already hard. And actually before it starts, like Jeff lets us kind of get a handle on it. And he's like, okay, you guys ready to go? Let me know if you need more time. I'm like, I need more time. Like, see, I've learned to ask for what I need and not be like, everyone's starting, I should just start. I was like, I don't fucking care. Excuse my mouth.
It's okay.
I don't care. Okay, fine. I am going to keep doing it till I get the hang of it. And people were looking at me like, are you ready to go? And I'm like, freaking just chill the hell out. And I freaking won that thing.
I was just going to say, and you won that one.
Actually, I actually quit a little early. I won, and I went long enough that I won. And I got my necklace. There was another group also doing the challenge. Now, I didn't hear this, but whoever was up there last got peanut butter and jelly for their team. And so some people thought it was strategic that I just said, oh, I won, I'm going to jump off, and I don't give a shit about peanut butter and jelly for my team. I could hear something about peanut butter and jelly, but because it's like, like you're just hearing the thing, and I'm on the far end, if you see, and Jeff's all the way over here, I couldn't hear what he was saying, and also I'm so focused, I'm like, I'm not going to let him distract me talking about peanut butter and jelly or whatever the hell he's talking about. So I'm just like in the zone, and I jump off, and my teammates are pissed because like I didn't,
they think you screwed them over from a good meal.
Yeah, whatever. I know you want your American frickin' food, and it's just full of sugar, and it's processed, and it's inflammatory, and you think it's going to help you, but it's not really going to help you. But yeah, I like challenges like where I can just like zone out. Like there was one where we're hanging over the water, and I could just like go to another place. And actually I ended up dropping out on purpose. I didn't even change my hands. I could have gone all day. I was in one position as long as I was up there. And because I knew, I looked around, I'm like, all right, all the strongest people, which are on the other tribe, are up here. I don't want to be a potential like
threat.
Oh, look, Noura's as physically dominating as us. So I just dropped out early. And Jeff goes, out of nowhere, Noura just drops. And it's like, yeah, I did just drop. And then there was another challenge, the final challenge that got me to final 3. That one was like, you had to focus. You're carrying blocks. You're balancing them on a table. It's windy. You got to spell, and you're like, fuck, like I can't even, like you can't even spell certain words because like you're just so out of it. You're sleep deprived. You're not getting enough glucose. Honestly, you're not getting enough glycogen for your brain to operate like it needs to when you're out there. That challenge took a lot.
But you got your final immunity.
Patience.
What do you call it?
That was my final immunity win. I won 3 necklaces. Damn, that's a lot.
Did you?
Highest winning.
Did you? Do you get to keep those?
Streak of this season.
Oh,
no.
That'd be cool.
Actually, a lot of times they'll auction off those things, and like, and it goes to a good cause. So that's
so I pulled up. There's some like fandom Survivor site. I pulled it up, and it says there's trivia, and it says Noura previously applied for Blood vs. Water. Was it Cagayan, Cambodia, and Karang?
I don't even know that because all I know is I applied for a certain season where they'll tell you this is season 25-.
Oh, so they don't tell you.
Like,
yeah,
those are mega fans.
Yeah. Oh, this is yeah.
I didn't even know those were the seasons.
So like the trivia is so interesting. It says Noura applied for these. It says Noura previously dated Guatemala contestant Jamie Newton. Did you?
Okay, Jeremy, I don't know how to bring this up because we dated before when you and I dated, and then you went on a trip to Europe with your family, and I'm giving this full disclosure because that's just me. And I wanted us to be exclusive, but I was feeling uncomfortable okay, so to put this in perspective, Jeremy's traveling for his work. He's always traveling, and basically, like, he's traveling, then he's back in Miami. I was actually doing the same thing with my work because a lot of my business was in D.C. But literally, Jeremy would get back in the area and be like, laundry, massage, and I'm just like, what about me?
It's very true, very true.
And, like, but there were other times where it's like, we'd meet up, and it was fine. But, like, I was just like, what the hell? And like, sometimes I'd be like, so what's going on with us? And you're like, Noura, we've been dating for 3 months, but in normal people terms, we've only had this many dates in 3 months. So therefore, it's like we've only been dating a month. So, like, I don't know. We're just still feeling this out. And I'm like,
It's true.
So, Jamie Newton was a guy I met on Match.com. When you were on that trip in Europe, and we were not exclusive, I was like, you know what? F it. I'm not exclusive with this guy. I'm just going to see what's going on out there. And I did it mostly to make you jealous.
I didn't even know about it, so you had a...
You did, though, because I posted a picture on Facebook, and you wrote me, like, what the heck's going on? Like, I don't know if you remember this, but you were on your trip, and I posted a picture of me and Jamie Newton, and no one really knew who he was at the time, I don't think, but, like, handsome guy, lives in the Miami area, and like, he had a really good, like, I liked his heart, I liked his energy. Anyway, I'm just putting it all together for you. So that guy, we met up, and I liked a lot about him. The thing is, he's a huge drinker, and I don't do well with that. I'm pretty clean cut in general. Like, I don't like to drink. I do drink, like, I don't like to be so black and white, but in general, 95% of the time, Noura doesn't drink. Like, if there's an occasion or there's a sip of something, like, I had a few sips of Sambuca last night. It's very common in our culture to drink, like, Arak, Sambuca, absinthe sometimes. But, anyway, so basically, we went on a bunch of dates. We were dating. And actually, I learned a little bit about Survivor from him.
So was that part of your strategy for Survivor?
It wasn't. This was just Noura being Noura. Like, I'm curious. And I was like,
poor Jamie didn't know that you were playing the long game. You wanted to know about Survivor.
Yeah. And then listen to this. Then he had an event, which is at Hearts of Reality. Hearts of Reality is where reality stars come. They give their time, they sign stuff and meet fans, and then they raise money for kids that have, like, all sorts of things that, they need help. And this charity does a lot of work to, like, give them a fun day. There's, like, a party. There's a whole fun day where they go to a park and they take these kids, disadvantaged in some sort of way, a great time, and then money also goes to the effort of that charity, all the efforts. So he's like, hey, I have this event. Like, do you want to come with me? Like, it's paid for, food's paid for, hotels paid for. I was like, sure. Like, he's like, it's for charity. I'm like, sure. I go there. You meet casting directors that do Survivor. I meet other players from Survivor that I knew from watching on TV, obviously, that, I got to meet in person and talk to. A winner that was there, a few winners that were there. And I was like, I wasn't trying to do this, but this, like, kind of found me when I was, and the timing, like, what's the timing of that relationship? Like, a couple months, and I get to go to this event that just so happened to be in that period of time. And that opened some doors in some ways, and then I got to say, one day we were in the elevator, and I was with all these different, like, reality stars. And they're like, all right, Noura, we got to go to signing. Like, we're going to be late. Like, we got to go, we're going to go to the signing booth, and we're going to meet the fans and blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm not going to that. And they looked at me like, oh, who the hell are you? Like, we all have to go to that. I was like, Noura, it's required. We all have to go. I go, guys, I wasn't on any of these shows. They're like, you weren't?
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So
that's how that Jamie.
No, very cool. Very cool. So now that you've been on Survivor, do you, like, has your life changed in any way? Have you, I mean, you talked about it. You talked about it Monday Motivation. You talked about it and said that it is kind of weird because you'll be wearing a mask. You'll wear, like, a baseball cap or have your hood up or whatever, and people will still recognize you because of your laugh or your voice or whatever. And My question is,
It's
you know, like,
constant. My walk, I could be walking down the street and a car will pull over and be like, Noura? I'm like, how can you tell the way I walk from my backside?
that's
like
crazy.
half a mile
That's
away.
crazy.
I'm telling you.
So is it?
That happened this
So
summer.
would you say that it's changed and it's changed for the better, or it's changed and it's very annoying?
It's a double-edged sword, like with everything in life. What I love is I feel a lot of love. I feel a lot of, like, I've never had so many people be like, yeah, do you, be you. Like, we need more of you in the world. Like, we need more people that are unapologetically, authentically themselves. And I've had so many people come to me, like, whether it's kids or it's women, you know, it spoke a message to those groups where it's like, don't be afraid to be a strong woman and an assertive, opinionated, strong, aggressive, disrupting woman. And then you've got like kids that are like, oh my God, like you can be yourself, you can be different, like you don't have to fit in with your peers. And it's cool because I've always said, like, when I tried to fit in life, those were the hardest times in my life. And I, to this day, have nightmares about who am I going to sit and eat lunch with in high school? You know, who am I, like, I had a lot of social anxieties because I didn't know how to fit in because I was so different. And so you try to think, like, what should I talk about in this conversation? You know, what should I wear? What should I buy? You know, like kids are dealing with all that. So when I show up like, I'm going to do it my way, I'm going to open this coconut this way, I'm going to say this, I'm going to, you know, it's like, it's empowering kids who are really putting even more pressure on themselves, and now it's an even more transparent world where they're seeing everything of what everyone's doing. So to answer your question, I like being a message and an example that is positive. And so I love that. But it's a double-edged sword. So sometimes if I want to say something, some people will be like, "You're using your your voice like not for good." And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm in health and wellness. I make my living off of improving the lives of others. And if I want to talk about touchy subject COVID, and I want to talk about vaccines, and I want to talk about health, and I want to talk about, you know, what I think about what's happening with the news and what I think these actual numbers are. And I have a lot of inside sources. I don't have to say, most people want to see the facts and like what you know and the details. And it's like, some people came at me real hard during COVID.
Is that why? And I apologize, but is that why that I saw you put on some story it came across a while back saying like, sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody or something like that. Oh, okay. I was like,
and actually people took snapshots of it, of my stories. It was not a post, it was a story, like just me writing stuff, talking about stuff. And ex-Survivor players that like, these are actually kind of ugly people inside. When I say ugly, I'm not talking about superficially. I'm like, they're just not like good, genuine people inside. And literally, it's like, I'm going to wave the Noura flag because now you're looking at me. I'm going to wave this, like they just want attention. So there's a few people, and actually in person, they met me, they gave me all this love. It's like, because you're hot. So they're like, yeah, like they want to connect with you, they want to be seen next to you. It's really disturbing, actually, that people are so opportunistic and it's not genuine and authentic. Yeah. So anyway, those very people that like would message me and be like, let's meet up, and like, I'm going to be visiting your city, and like all of that, those same people took the messages from my story, took a little out of context, and was like, we won't forget this, Noura. Like, even Richard Hatch, who's a piece of shit, excuse me, he won $1 million, didn't report it, and actually, he's not a nice person. Like, we had a watch party for fans. What did this asshole do? He took his chair in the center of the frickin' front of the room and sat like this, and sat in front of the TV. I go, Richard, you're blocking the view. There's a whole room of people that came here to meet us, and they want to see this episode just as much as we do. And they can't see past you. He's like, I don't care. Like, he's a freaking asshole. So why do I give a shit what that guy thinks? But see, this is the kind of thing I didn't have to deal with before. And so I had him tweeting about me. I had a few different players tweeting about me. And they were all coming at me. And, like, I don't like to get ugly when people get ugly. But there was one thing I did. Like, one girl that, like, I don't think is very relevant on the show. Like, you don't really see her personality. And she was very much like a goat. Like, just followed her way to the end, was not very, she was not a threat to anyone else, and it's just like, people were just like, whatever, she's a number for us, like, they were not worried about playing against her and losing
Right.
to her, let's say. So this girl's really ugly and mean when she writes on it, when she puts stuff on Instagram. Even on my season, she would Noura shit so that now she's got all that traffic. And it's like, yeah, there were weeks I'm literally, what do you call it, trending on Twitter. And people were writing me like, you are the top 10 topic right now, like on Twitter, whatever. So this girl, when all this happened, sorry for the British accent, but I'm dating someone British, and I'm actually British.
I was gonna ask you. I was gonna say, man, you and your boyfriend, like, I realize that he's British, but he's turning you into something that I've never seen.
It's like strong, and I don't know how to talk because like I spent like all last night with this.
You're
and now
like
it's like
you're talking like, I guess American, and then all of a sudden you're talking English, and then it reminds me of
like,
the episode. I don't know if you're a big Friends fan, but it reminds Friends, the episode. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
course,
I don't know if you know
I know you have all those DVDs.
There's an episode of Ross where he's teaching, and he had a British accent, and then he tries to face.
He forced it, or
he faked it because he felt so uncomfortable, and he wanted to like sound more intelligent or whatever. So he went ahead and everybody was making fun of him. Like all the friends were making fun of him. So he's like, I'm gonna try to phase it out. So he started phasing it out, and then people were asking him like, where's your accent? Like why is it? And then he would pick up his accent right away, and it was hilarious. It was hilarious. So I was like,
It's like that. Like you see actors and actresses like they go film something and then they're talking one way and then like, or like singers, like they sing like an American person, like la 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 la,
Dude,
and then country singers, and then they talk and they're like from Australia,
and you're like, wait a minute, that's not how you normally talk. Yeah, no, or sing. Yeah, but yeah, I actually used to frequent the karaoke bar, Alex's karaoke bar, Keats Karaoke in New York City. A little plug there.
Yeah.
I used to frequent there.
Awesome. I didn't realize they had
karaoke and
there.
They ended up having a karaoke host, and she was like Irish, like straight off the boat Irish, where she had such a thick Irish accent, and when she sang with no Irish accent at all. It was unbelievable. Like she sounded so amazing singing these songs, and then when not saying that she didn't sound amazing talking, but she had no accent.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'll just say this, like a little backstory. When I came here when I was 9 from England, my biggest focus when I was in this country is like I just wanted to assimilate. I just wanted to like fit in. And so when I got here, like they're like, it's not water, it's water. Like it's not bedroom, it's room.
Yeah.
I can't even say it.
Room. A room.
So like I taught myself how to speak like everyone else does, because even now like I get self-conscious like when I speak like that, because it's like like it just like gets people, it's just
I didn't want to call you out. I through conversation you told me that you were dating a gentleman from is he from England?
So he's from the UK like me, like 2 hours south from where I was born and raised.
So I remember you telling me that he's from there, and I was like, maybe she's just picking it up because she's around it so often, and then and
we talk a lot, so it's like.
So does he say anything
day,
like, why the hell do you have an accent now, or does he?
You know what he says? He goes, Noura, you're starting to sound more British than I do.
That's funny.
I'm like, that's impossible.
He so that's funny. And now you've been dating him for a little while here, and things are good, right?
I'll see what happens. You never, in my family, they're like, he made it to a month. Like, whoa, let's see. It's proof that cool things can happen in COVID. Anything. It's like a lot of times we tell ourselves this is the way that the world is, and like we get so stuck into reality. And so like I know a lot of people like that are like, DC guys are like this, and everyone's either divorced or this or that. And like when you live inside that, that's all you're gonna find. It's like I talk about this on Survivor. Like when you activate the reticular activating system, which Tony Robbins talks a lot about. when you focus on like red, you're gonna see freaking red everywhere. So everything coexists. It's just like, what are you actually focusing on?
Yeah, it's like a car where it's like a car where like you buy one car and then you're like, holy shit, everybody owns this fucking car. What's going on? Like, why does everybody own my car?
Yeah, you start
so yeah,
everywhere.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That's a good example. So I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, what was I focusing on?
You were saying that
seeing everywhere.
You know.
Oh yeah, dating and COVID. Yeah, so I was just trying to say, like, most people are gonna be like, oh my god, dating's so hard and blah blah blah. Actually, COVID showed me like, oh my god, I need like warmth and love and like, you know, you need connection, and like if you can't have that from your family and community, like for me it's yoga, it's the gym, it's the offices I do work in, like those are different communities I have. So when you don't have all those things, like actually in some ways, like COVID I would not be dating this person if COVID was not happening, because I'd probably be
How did you meet him?
I'd be focused on many
If you don't mind me
things.
asking, how'd you meet him during COVID?
Swipe.
Oh, really?
Swipe.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Actually, we met on the app a year and a half ago, and then like I didn't like one thing he said that made me think, like, I was just being overly judgy, and I was like, I think he's just trying to like hook up and have fun, and I don't want to waste my time. But I was wrong, and also I thought he didn't want to have children at the time. He had, like, when people write stuff, it doesn't mean necessarily, like, I'm very like, it says this, so therefore that. But like, it could say, you know, not sure what I'm looking for. I'm like, oh, he doesn't know what he's looking for? No, okay. Or have kids and don't want more. I'm like, oh, he doesn't want kids, I do, you know. But like, it's like, oh, it turned out to be, this is the reason. He had just, you know, now a year and a half later, it's like, it's a money thing. That's the reason. It's not like I don't want to have them. It's like, I don't know if I can afford the kids I have now and more, and like, that's my concern. But if I'm like, oh, well, like, I'm a hustler and like I can make a living, like, oh, it's like, oh, okay, then that can work. It's like, oh wow, like that barrier that isn't there anymore.
He has kids?
Yeah, so he's divorced with two kids.
How old, if you don't mind me asking?
8 and 11.
My stepkids are 8 and 9. That's crazy. Yeah, and what's funny is, you know, when I met my wife, we were talking, and you know, she had 2 boys. I was like, there's no way she's ever gonna want to have more kids, you know. And they're already, when I met her, they were, I think 4 and 5, maybe 4 and 5, or 3 and you know, 5.
That's young. That's young. They're
So,
really
so I was like,
young
she's not gonna want to go ahead and have kids by the time like we settle down, if it goes that far, right? So I was like, nah. And then, you know, when her and I had that conversation, because I was like, you know, I want to set expectations, right? Like, if we're gonna just have fun, we're just gonna have fun, and that's it. But if it can go somewhere, I want to know if, you know, there's some, you know, deal breakers for me. And when her and I talked, I was like, you know, would you ever consider having kids again? She's like, you know, I never really wanted them. She's like, but I see how you are with the kids, and yeah, I would consider, you know, like,
you're amazing with kids.
Well, there's a big difference, and I've learned this very quickly, right? Living with the boys and whatnot, but I learned this very quickly, that there's a big difference from being the fun uncle, which I'm the fun uncle to 90% of my good friends' kids, you know, like Jim and Melissa, you know, their kids call me Uncle Jer, right? My buddy Chad and Shay and all them, their kids call me Uncle Jer. I love that, and I love being Uncle Jer, you know, because I can have fun with the kids, and you only see a small portion, right? You don't see the terrorists aspect of kids sometimes, right? And so it's.
That comes with discipline to mitigate that.
And it's funny because, man, it is it's very, very challenging at times, because, you know, you're like, okay, you know, I don't want to overstep my bounds, and, you know, this and that. So it's been a huge learning curve, and I've, like I said, I've always been the fun uncle, and now I'm a stepdad, and you know we're trying to have a kid of our own. So hopefully one day I'll have a kid of my own. And I love these boys like they are my own, so I'm not worried. But for me, I'm just like, man, this is hard. Like, step parenting is very, very hard. Now, and I'm not saying that to deter you, Like, obviously, I'm just saying that to let you know, like, it's not an easy task. But it's
because also you're not their actual parents. It's like you gotta. It's like, where do you step in and not step in?
Yeah.
Also.
And with everything, you're just trying to find where, like, what fits best as, can I say or do this or demand this versus, if I was the fun uncle, I'd be like, fucking ask your parents. I don't know. Like, I'm not, it's not my responsibility. Sure, go ahead and jump off the cliff. Here I'm like, absolutely not. You're crazy.
Yeah,
because they're technically they're technically my responsibility, and it's crazy.
Them.
But have you met his kids?
No, and I think I know what's gonna happen. Actually, I gave him gifts to give them for Christmas, like just something little for each of them. So I think I've learned that, like, and this about me, it's like I'm learning not to have expectations.
Yep.
So I think, like, if you were to tell yourself, I want to meet the kids, but I didn't meet them yet, so why not? And, like, does that mean we're not serious, or does that mean, it's like you could.
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering if you had that playing in your mind, because I know that you tend to overthink things. And I'm just being honest and friendly here, but I was like, I was wondering if that was playing in your mind, where you're like, oh, I haven't met his kids yet. It's been a little over a month, and this and that, and so
yeah.
That's cool that you're not overthinking.
I just know I'm gonna meet them. Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. I'm telling you, Survivor did really shift me to, like, just be here, be right now. Like, even like yesterday, it was Thursday night, and we're out, and he's like, so, like, the weekend's here. What are you thinking about it? I'm like, baby, I'm just here with you right now. I'm just here. And that's not the Noura you knew before.
No. I mean, shit, I haven't seen you in like 4 years. I think 4 years or so.
Yeah, but
we've talked. We've talked and kept in touch. And I want to give a shout out. I want to give a shout out to your sister. I love your sister. She's so funny.
She loves you. You guys are a better match than you and I are.
I'll text her. Like, when you were on Survivor, I texted you like once or twice asking you. I forget what I was asking you, and then I was like, man, I haven't heard from Noura. And then your sister didn't let anything out of the bag or anything, and she went and visited you on the island, right? That was pretty cool. She was my family visit. She was really excited about that when I saw that episode. So,
it's funny, like, when you didn't hear from me, because, like, I know sometimes I have a delay in getting back.
Just so everybody knows, scheduling this podcast, like, listen, you're a very interesting person, and I wanted to have you on the podcast because of, all the business adventures and things like that. And then when you got on Survivor, I was like, she's never going to come on. And then when we started texting, I was like, hey, would you be interested in doing the podcast? And you're like, yeah, maybe in a little bit, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I'll do it. And then it was like radio silence. And then I'd be like, hey, Noura, just wanted to see if you're still interested. And you're like, yeah, I'll do it. You just, let me schedule some time. And then I was like, okay. And then radio silence for a couple weeks. I'm like, holy shit, Noura. I was like, you want to do this?
You kept going, Jeremy. You're good.
I gotta. You know what? If I want good people on the podcast, I realize I have to be persistent. Even a little naggy at times, where I'm just like, hey, come on. I'm doing it. Right now I'm doing it with a couple of people that I really want to have on.
Good. You got to
and talk about different topics. But I feel bad at times, and I'm just like, fuck it. If they don't want to, they'll tell me no.
Don't feel bad. I will say this. When what I love about someone that keeps going after something is it just shows, like, how invested it is that you are in what you're doing, and invested they are in you. So, what I've learned in life is, like, when things come to you, like when something is drawn to you, whether it's a person or it's an opportunity, and, like, it comes after you, it's like, accept those. Like, I took a course once, and it was like, go, deal with the people that are hot for you. When people are hot for you, like, whether it's like, Lauren, like, certain people came up to me in Survivor, and I could tell they wanted to work with me. You work with those people, like what comes to you, like, so I gotta say, whether it's sponsors or collaborations or whatever comes my way, when someone keeps coming and coming through, you got my attention
Right.
now. It's the same people that message me on Instagram. I shouldn't say that now because now everyone's going to keep messaging at the top. But like, it's those ones that consistently message. So maybe I forgot to write back, or like I got distracted, or they just got buried and like there's other stuff that came on top. And that happens in my text. And that's also why you kind of go like this. Now they've got the whole, you can pin 3, but that's not
Right.
3. But that's pretty cool. You can pin those, and then I'll be able to see what's going on regularly. But like it's literally those people that kept like coming at me that I'm like, wow, they really are passionate about what they're doing, and they're passionate about me. Like, yeah, I can't say no to that.
No, that's awesome. That's a great way of looking at it. And now I know that you do have a hard stop, and we went a little over, or no, you're coming up. You got 4 minutes. So I wanted to go ahead and just say, like, is there anything else you wanted to share? Do you want to share your Instagram, your Twitter, your whatever? I mean,
Oh, that's fun.
I mean,
okay.
Listen, I don't have a million like listeners, so it's not like you're gonna get a huge influx of followers.
Hey, I'm gonna send them your way, and they might really like it. Well, I would like to say, one, the focus of this podcast is what? Just to reiterate.
So this podcast is whatever Wednesday, and the focus is just to talk about whatever we want, and kind of have more of a free flowing format. So Monday Motivation, I love that because it's very structured. It's 5 questions always. Yeah. There's no deviating from that. But I said, you know what? I really want to get to talk to different people and learn different things. Like I was really interested in learning about your experience on Survivor and how you utilized, things that you learned from it and things like that. And I feel like we captured that here. So that's why I have this is like, yeah, like a lot of times I'll have a guest on for a Monday Motivation, and then like a month or 2 later I'll have them on for whatever Wednesday, because I was so intrigued in learning about what helped them become successful or what made them successful that I wanted to get to have a more free format and talk about other things. So that's what Wednesday or whatever Wednesdays are all about.
Got it. Okay. So for me, like I like to be focused. So if I'm gonna share anything else, I mean, fine, I'm gonna plug myself, but I would like to say I think this is really what we should do more of, because right now we had a conversation and we're just here. We're not focused on anything else, and so many things can come from conversations like this. And I'm a creator, so for me, if I had to start writing on a page, eventually something's going to come out. And if I'm in the kitchen and I start putting a bunch of things together, eventually I'm going to create something. And I feel like what I like about this premise of the podcast and this series is there's no expectations, and because there's no expectations and we're kind of just having fun, a lot of cool things came out in the conversation that like I was not thinking about sharing. And it was interesting and it was fun. So I just want to commend you, because I think we should be in that practice more.
I appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, and I'm not patting you on the back or giving you kudos. I really have always been interested in learning how you've accomplished all that you've accomplished already. Like it's always been very interesting to me that you've started a successful business, you developed a good real estate portfolio, you did all that and then let it all go. So I was like, man, no matter what, without Survivor, I wanted to have you on, just because of how and I won't say crazy in a bad way, but how crazy you can get when it comes to that, where you're just like, fuck it, let's do it. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So I really appreciate you being on, one, and two, I appreciate your drive and your never quit, and that's why I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna quit on trying to get her on. So
yeah, Jeremy.
So thank you so much. Oh wait, go ahead.
No, please. I will just say this before I plug myself. Because, you might be thinking, okay, real estate, Survivor, whatever, like areas that, what I loved that we shared, by the way, on the Monday Motivation was when you were like, if you could depict yourself, like, and if there's a billboard on, in Times Square, like what would it look like? It really actually has now become my true north, you know? It's like, it's very clear to me now, like, because sometimes you don't know why you do what you do in a way, and I was like, wow, you're like, you made me really just succinctly spell out that my message is, you really can have it all. That is my message. And so behind what I do, I have notebooks. For years, all these notebooks, like I can't tell you, I have boxes of notebooks, they're all here, and they've got the logo of Super Freshies, they've got like the recipe creations, they've got, I want to have a place in Miami, I want to move to Miami, like, so all I want to say is, something that I've done that maybe like a lot of successful people don't talk about is, I am regularly at a table, like just writing things out and just like, what do I want? Like, what's important to me? And, you know, I also talk about like, what do you complain about regularly and what do you want to change? Like, how are you going to change that? What's their action? Like, you could say, this constantly bothers me, or my neck here always bothers me, or whatever, this job, this part of it. I'm a big believer in, I mediate the things I'm not happy about, and I create actions on how to fix those things I find myself complaining about. But and then the other part, so that's one is dealing with reality, right, and putting actions against the reality you don't like, and then of course magnifying the realities that you do like, and then I spend an exorbitant amount of time just like, what do I want, and like why, and you know, how can I make a big impact in the world? And you know, first it was, okay, I got to get myself in order, I got to make a living, I've got to have stability, I've got to have so much stability that when I go and try all these crazy things, I could go on Survivor for 40 days and not be bankrupt when I get back, which I kind of was. And you know, so I got to say, like, I'm a product of dreaming day in and day out. Like, I don't stop dreaming, and that's the difference between robotic humans that are just existing, and then there are people that are superhuman, that are creating and just operating on a completely different level. Like, we're living life fully. And so I'll say, it's so simple, like, walk towards what brings you to life. It's like, if you're a flower, like, what opens your petals? Right. And that's what I do. And then when I get excited about stuff, I write it out, and I think about, like, okay, how can I do this? And sometimes you don't need to know how you're going to do it. You just want to be very clear, and then it will all be answered. Like, you'll start digging, and you'll start finding your way. But I wanted to share that I'm a product of this process, and it's just, I don't stop dreaming, and I don't stop believing, because I believe I can have it all. Like, I do believe it's possible, and most people are like, oh, I can have the relationship, and then whatever. It's like they have these. You are a product of your thoughts. Like, people have a very limiting belief on many things, and like, you live inside of this. The limits are here. So I just want to say that's like, whatever I do in my life, I'm a product of this, and all the things I'm doing are a product of that approach. And
no, I like that. I mean, you've always been one to have, like, I think you called it a vision board or whatever. You do vision board stuff. Yeah, I
still have them. I actually have a 3-dimensional mannequin of all my clippings of what I created, and a lot of those things I created, like down to like the model in that shot with that girl. I dated that guy. You know, like, it's like not just like a guy like him, like the model in that clipping. Things like so insane. But I'm a very visual person, and I wish I could I don't even know if I could show you my place real quick. I mean, show you this.
I mean, you're letting all my followers see your place now.
I don't care. It's okay. I'm full disclosure. So that's my dining room. But this is my Survivor mannequin that I created. So that's what I was wearing out there. I had a few other layers, but you know, I put a lot around me. Like, I put signs like, how does it get any better? Oh, let me see that. How does it get? I know you can't see it, so lit up. All right, I'm gonna show you this one. Like, I have reminders everywhere.
Things
like,
take
great
time.
Things take time. I have over the toilet, like, one day at a time, like, because you're gonna go to the toilet like a million times a day, you know. But like, I have like constant reminders everywhere, and I don't know why I started showing you my place, but like, oh yeah, here we go. On the fridge, I have all these quotes, and they're actually, these ones are magnet ones, and I just reinforce certain things all the time, because even I get insecure and I lose faith, and I know that with the camera it's all gonna be bad.
No, like, it'll come out fine. I can see everything fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really? All right. So it says here, let your faith be bigger than your fear. And you can see that from the bathroom here. And it's like, before I go into my bedroom, like I'm seeing those messages, and literally, like sometimes, especially at night, your mind becomes weak, and that's the time you really need those pep talks. And so I put those confirming things everywhere to reprogram my mind to think a certain way that it doesn't naturally default to, and over time
Right.
it does.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
Anyway,
I like it. I like it. I think it's important that, people write down goals. Like a lot of people just say like, "Oh, I want to do this or I want to do that," and they don't write down, so they don't hold themselves accountable. I think it's really cool that you not only do that, but then you also go ahead and I guess it's like like, is it affirmation where you go ahead and you put them all around and you're reading them and saying like, okay,
yeah,
I am good enough, or I do this, or whatever. I love that. I think it's
yeah.
great.
Thanks.
It's great.
I'm also into sticky notes.
Yes, we see them all over the cabinet back there.
I'm sticky note queen, because then it's like, it's got my attention, it's got my focus, and I'm also about executing a lot. And the thing is, there's so many distractions. Like, you go to your phone to do something, and then you get pulled into a million other things. So like, focus is really important. Is really key. Anyway, so I'll plug myself. So you can go to NouraKnowsBest.com. It shows all the things I've been up to and I do. And those things are, my nutrition bar company is
Super
really
Freshies.
my love.
Right?
Thank
Super
you.
Freshies.
I just came out with my newest flavor, Nutty Chocoholic. It does not have nuts.
It's like
it's a chocolate,
nutty,
chocolate flavor.
And then
Yes,
Lean Out
Nutty.
Now, which is your health and wellness. Is it seminar or is it just a program?
So it's a program I created, and I'm just going to show you this because this is the reason it all started. This girl is one of my best freaking friends, and actually she's now
Stephanie, right?
married to the guy I set her up with. Stephanie,
Yeah.
you know Stephanie. She's the reason, like, this is a magazine, like, editorial about it, but she's the reason I had that business, because she was my best friend in Miami, and I just transformed her by being her friend and telling her, do this, do that, and da-da-da, and literally got me all those clients. So Lean Out Now, I do private one-on-one health coaching, but it's very exhausting. So I'm going to now just start doing group training, but the idea is, how do you lean out physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like, because we're a physical manifestation of like heaviness,
Right.
stress, lack of health. And so I'm like going to take your car and like get it back in gear and get it.
Yeah, you're kind of
know what
you're
to say.
doing a quick tune up of all of
Tune
it,
up.
body, mind, spirit, all that stuff. I love that.
Everything.
And then save your financial ass.
And
That
then you lean out, obviously.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I said, and then you lean out, because that's what everyone,
Right.
like, everyone wants to be more lean. It's like, yeah, some people want to gain weight, some people want to lose weight, but at the end of the day, you all want to be like defined and feel great. Like, you want to feel great. Why we should not feel anything but that.
Couldn't agree more. Save your financial ass. It's your video programming of how to, do your. Is it kind of like your consulting business?
Yes, it's basically like when you start a business, like what are the different ways to set it up? What are the benefits and cons of all of them? What's deductible? What's not? How do you read financial statements? It's literally like what you would go to business school for, and what you know about as a CPA and like a tax professional. That business owners, like, they pay a lot. Like, program is worth thousands of dollars, because I'm saving you money, growing you money, protecting you money, and it's just, I need to sell that now. I don't spend time focusing on selling it.
All right. And then you have Noura Knows Payroll, which I'm assuming has something to do with payroll.
Yes, actually, now's a good time for that. If you have a company and you want to get a good deal on payroll, I can get you basically up to 30% off the list prices that ADP offers. And ADP is the #1 provider of payroll in the world. They do all the Fortune 100 companies, most of the Fortune 500 companies. But like, you're going to get the best product for the best price, and I'm going to help put it into place so you'll know it's being done right. And I have a rep dedicated just to me that helps me do it. And I started realizing, like, I get a kickback for getting people on the platform. So I thought, like, this is a business. Like, if all I did was this, which I actually worked for them at some point, grinding, doing sales, it's like, it's the same thing, but I don't have to, like, go to an office. I can just, you know,
no, it's awesome.
make the sales when they
Right.
happen. But it's a win-win for
Absolutely.
everybody.
30% is a big number.
Yeah.
30% is a big number. So,
Yeah, and for a better product, like, even if you paid the same for more bells and whistles, like, that's still
right,
an upgrade.
right. And then obviously on the website it shows your Survivor experience. So that is.
We'll see if I have another. Actually, my boyfriend's like, so what do you think's going to happen with Survivor? I was like, what do you mean? Like, most people, it's like one
Right.
and done. You did the season, you know, it's done. But, like, I do really think there could be, like, game changers. I could go on something like that, or it could be maybe second chances, or maybe if they did, like, people that got to final 3 that didn't win. That would be amazing. Because that would be really cool to see.
Yeah, because now you have that
players.
experience, and you're like, this could really, you know, I could really win this moving forward, knowing what I would have done differently.
And it really came down to knowing I deserved it. And because I compare myself to my best self. So when I compared myself to my best self, I was like, oh, this is where I kind of fell short. And, you know, these people are not getting convinced by what I'm saying. You know, I really really going hard against myself.
Right.
But when I watched the season back, I'm like, I freaking killed it. Like, what else could I have done better? I did it in my own crazy way, and it freaking worked. Like,
yeah.
I mean, all I need to do is be like, I freaking deserve it. And they wanted to hear that. That's all the jury wanted. But, like, I needed someone to tell me, like, go, Noura, get this. Like, it's yours.
Right.
But they wanted me to show them, like, that I deserved it and prove it to them. And they wanted me to tell them some elaborate thing of how I came in with some approach. And it's like these guys that are like, it's so typical. You can Google this, but I talk about a woman applies for a job. She meets 90% of what the job is, but, like, she doesn't meet all of it. She might not apply. A guy meets 70% of the job, and he's like, oh, I meet 70% of this. I'm going to apply.
I would have went with a much lower number. Like, a guy meets 5% of it, and he's like, I could fucking do that. I could do that in a heartbeat.
That's the thing. And those guys next to me did so much less in a lot of ways, relatively. 100%. No. You look at my game and the way I exhausted myself and what I accomplished and what I did and the influence I had, I never voted wrong once, except for one vote, which was a controversial vote. And it's like, how did I play like that? How did I win 3 immunity challenges and I could have won more? Like, how am I friends with all these people? It's not like I just played and whatever. Like, I'm really friends with, except for some people I don't really like that much. But how am I friends with all these people? It's like, I did it. I mastered the game, but, like, I didn't just say, I deserve it.
Right.
To me. So I learned the biggest lesson, $1 million lesson on self-worth and just accepting. Because a lot of times, like, there's like a dollar bill on the ground, and you're like, is this yours? Is this yours? It's like, no, pick it up and keep walking.
All right. Well,
this was really
yes,
fun.
thank
Jeremy.
you so much. I'm always interested. I can't wait to see, where life takes you next. I wish you, success in not only business but also the relationship. It will be weird hearing you talk in a British accent, but it'll be okay.
It'll probably only get stronger, honestly, if I spend, when you spend more and more time
Yeah. If you guys
together.
end up together, you're gonna fully become a British accent.
With British children
Right.
thinking the same way.
So, thank you very much, and we'll end it there.